wanted to try out the trigger objects that Nikki and Ruth gave to me. So we took the teacup, put it on top of the little table they had there, and started asking questions.
These are like, this is crazy. This is like direct responses.
Thank you, Murdy.
It was incredible. I'm like a kid in a candy store, man.
Welcome to another edition of Unexplained Cases Live. We're just like a bunch of kids in candy store as well. You got Rick Garner here, Darren Dito, our anchor and reporter, Maryam, the medium, and tonight, special guest, Mustafa Gatollari. Welcome, dude. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I love the clip that you picked. I kind of looked like I was smoking a little something before that scene. I promised everyone, I was like, I'm just tired, man. I'm not like, I don't get baked and investigate. I swear to God.
But who looks good in IR lights, you know? I mean,
I don't know. People look really good.
It's that special touch there, basically. But hey, we appreciate having you on tonight. And Mr. Dito is going to take over the interrogation for us.
I was going to say, I thought maybe we learned something, maybe hit a couple of bowls or something before you'd go film an episode or something like that. But
never.
Well, thanks so much, man, for being with us tonight. The show has been fantastic, the last couple of seasons that you've been on. The first season was fantastic. It seems like in the second one, though, things might have changed a little bit. I'm not sure if, I'm crazy, but like the locations were more remote, maybe a little bit more dark. Could you share, more about that?
Yeah, I mean, season 2 was really interesting because I remember when we started talking to our production team, because we have a whole team in addition to our team that receives word of these locations. And there was a concentrated effort, and it was a great hypothesis from a lot of the production members, and even our own team was like, okay, well, what if we had a whole season dedicated to isolated places? And at first I was like, I don't know, that could kind of be like, that's like high risk, high reward. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Like a lot of people, a lot of shows like to go to the places that they know they're going to have activity, because as much as we're investigators and as much as we want to debunk stuff, if you know a location, one, if it has a history, that the people who own it and run it are legitimate. They're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, and they're not crazy, most likely. Two, if there's activity there, and you can work with that you can try to debunk and at least bring something new to the viewers. Plus, a lot of times viewers love when you go to known places. So it was a really, really high risk to go to a bunch of places, for the most part, that nobody's ever heard of. I think the exception of Woolley, that's the only spot in season 2 that that anyone heard before, like in the paranormal field. I don't know what happened, man. I mean, it just seemed like every place was more active than the last, and I think it had a lot to do with the fact that they had been dormant for so long, and because Brandon had so many ties to the scientific community, and he really, really upped the ante. I mean, there was experiments that we conducted that they didn't even put in the show that yielded some really incredible results. So it was really, really dope. Yeah.
What a great gig. Maybe just tell us a little bit about your background. What got you interested in the paranormal, and then how the heck did you, land a sweet job like that?
Everybody wants to know that part. I will say that part, the sweet gig, was kind of an accident. But everything else before that was very much intentional. I grew up in a house that was haunted. I come from very, very peasant, working class Eastern Europeans. I'm first generation American. Both sides of my mom and dad's families, they're very, very hard working class people. They moved here. My father always had kind of dreams of making it big, striking it big, and he didn't want to work these kind of labor jobs, restaurant jobs for the rest of his life. And as he started making more money, he was like, all right, cool, I want to move my kids out of these kind of less than savory areas in New Jersey, and let's move them to some nice suburban town. They found New City, New York, which was a great public school system, wonderful town, loved growing up there. And the house that we moved into was pretty haunted. I mean, the first night we lived there, I'll never forget. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but I'll do the biggest story, was my older brother and I, we shared a room. And it was a big freaking house, man. I mean, 3 stores. To give you an idea of how big it was, the bottom floor of the basement was so big. My uncle, his wife, and their 4 kids at the time had moved in and lived in down there. That's how big this house was. Yeah. So you had like 20-something people living in that house. That was how big it was. Because our grandparents lived with us too. Anyway, so my brother and I were sleeping in this room. We hear noises in the middle of the night. Everyone's asleep. Wake up, we look at each other. We're like, "Yo, what the hell is this?" He's like, "Well, go check it out." Let's go check it out. So we go. And we're walking down the stairs. Man, this hallway was huge. We had a big chandelier. I'll never forget, like the way the moonlight was coming into that opening facade, and the light shimmering off the chandelier, and it's this beautiful, eerie kind of setting. And I'm going down. I'm like 4 years old, 4.5. And I hear bop, 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 bop. Noise is getting louder and louder and louder as we're approaching the kitchen. You know, I'm a big time scaredy cat. Like I couldn't even watch a Nightmare on Elm Street movie until I was like 12. And I was the same size since I've been like 12, 13 years old. Like I was like 6 foot when I was 12. I was a monster, but I was still a kid. I was like screaming at everything. I wouldn't even go on roller coasters. It was embarrassing, you know. I was this like giant crybaby. But when it was crazy, because like when that was happening, my older brother was scared, but like I was completely fearless. So I don't know why. I think it was like my interest in this weird stuff kind of trumped everything else. So he's kind of tailing behind me. My older brother was, you know, a big guy too. So he's trailing behind me. We're walking. We turn the corner and sound getting louder and louder and louder. And we peer into the kitchen, and all the cabinets and drawers in the kitchen are opening and closing by themselves.
Right. No way. Like a movie.
Like a movie. Like something out of the Poltergeist. And my mom comes downstairs. She hears it. She's thinking we're messing around. And she sees it too. And me and my brother are looking at each other like, "Oh, this is awesome." And my mom's like speaking to us in Albanian. And that's how we know it's serious, when she's speaking the motherland language to us. She's like, "Get upstairs, blah, blah, blah." So I remember they called like my great grandfather, who was a sheikh, like a hoja, to come and bless the place. It didn't work. The activity started to die down once my uncle and his family moved in, and the house was really, but that's what kind of started it. And my interest in the paranormal and investigating it actually kind of came from a place of like extreme anger and frustration, because my parents were blaming all of their problems on these demons in the house, these jinn. And, you know, our marriage sucks because of these jinn. It's like, no, your marriage doesn't suck because of the jinn. It's because you had an arranged marriage when you were 17, Mom. Like, you know what I mean?
That's hardcore.
Yeah, you know, like my dad's like, "Oh man, these jinn are like ruining our finances." He says, "No, you have an 8th grade education and you're playing with the stock market. Like that's why you're losing money. Like it has nothing to do with the jinn." And so I kind of like hated how like these people were like blaming all their problems on the supernatural. It's like, no, you're just a freaking idiot. Like that's why you have all these problems. Like you're miserable because you eat like garbage, you don't work out, you hate your job, and you're not really that crazy about the person that you're with. So like stop blaming it on ghosts and demons and jinn, and start, you know, not to sound like Tony Robbins, but like take control of your life. Like, geez Louise, like do something.
Right. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get it together.
You know, something like that, you know what I mean? More or less, you know, do what you can. And that's what I started doing. Like I started, once I became like, I was around like 16, 17, I started researching the history of the house, intent on disproving the fact that there was like, you know, those rumors that the guy who owned it killed himself there. And it turns out that the more I investigated, the more questions I had than answers. And, you know, it turned out that the guy who did own the house, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he did commit suicide there. He went missing, but there was a lot of people and reports in the town who said that this guy, you know, he was a depressing guy. And I think once, you know, we had a lot of financial troubles and issues there, but like once we kind of came more together as a family, not to give it like a storybook Hollywood ending, I think once we kind of came more together as a family, like I remember there was like a period of like 10 months, we didn't have electricity in the house. We were like doing our homework by candlelight, and we're boiling water to take showers because we couldn't afford the heating bill, or could afford with the gas. And, you know, there's stuff like that. So, but like, again, we never really like felt sorry for ourselves. We were just kind of like, all right, this sucks, but like, let's have fun with it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, who wants to boil it? It's like, oh, let's make kids soup. And like, we're like, you know, doing all this stuff. So it became like really fun. Like, you know, even though we were eating like, you know, bland spaghetti and mac and cheese every single night from the box, but like, we didn't care, like whatever, you know. We
You're a
made it work,
family. I
you
mean,
know?
you're staying together. How
Yeah.
old were you when you moved out? Just out of curiosity.
I moved out of that house when I was 11 years old, and then
Okay.
we moved back to Jersey. But I had gone back to New York City once I got my provisional driver's license, and I would just like anybody's car I could borrow. I'd be like, I'll go back. I'm like, I'll give you, like, you know, I worked at the library. I saved my money. I'd be like, here, I'll give you $50. Let me just borrow your car, and they'd let me do it. And I'd go down there. I'd go to the county records office, and I became like really good friends with the people there, and researching the house, interviewing people, doing whatever I could, and that's when I started my work kind of like as a journalist. I was just like fascinated with the properties. And then I started helping, you know, I was also very, very religious back then. So I had members of the Albanian Muslim community who would look to me, come bless my house. And I do it under the guise of like, yes, I'm a holy man. So I would go in and be like, yes, I'm going to bless it. So I do the prayers, I do everything. But then I read up a little bit on paranormal investigating. So then I learn a little bit, and I do it through that scope. And then when I was 20, I actually met someone who was into paranormal investigating in college. I was at Rutgers University, Newark, and then a friend of ours, mine and my younger brother actually introduced me to him, went to New Jersey Institute of Technology across the street, and he was like hardcore. Yeah. So we would go and investigate, and that's how it happened.
I was going to ask, so you have a background in investigative journalism. You also know a lot about history. How do you use those tools on ghost hunters? I know you do a lot of the research when we see the episode. How does that all play out? How do you prepare for an episode?
So I can't take 100% credit for all of the research. A lot of that is done from beforehand by our production crew. I'll name a few people who worked in it. We had John Fitzpatrick, Karen Headley. We had a lot of other people who worked, Jen Friesen. There's other people I'm forgetting, but they were phenomenal. And what they do is they kind of field a lot of the people's, submissions. So people submit, I think my place is haunted. We want the ghost hunters to help. So then they would basically go and be like, hey, we got these places. What do you guys think? So I would look into them, and then I do my own research, my own independent research. So I conduct my own independent research, and then I just like to find things that, to me as an investigator, I think are the most salient points. And then from there, it just kind of takes a life of its own. I mean, Worley Hospital in season 1 in Pampa, Texas, the season finale of season 1, I just knew it had something to do. And Brandon and I were talking about it a lot. Just knew it had something to do with Mary Lucille Myers. Just freaking knew it. Sure enough, we went in and boom, opened up stuff. To me, it's like you have the history, you have the facts. So the history is so important, not because you want to get bogged down in narrative and story and like these tragic deaths and stuff that happened there, because a lot of paranormal people are like, you know, kids who grew up listening to The Cure, and like, you know, they're very gothy and they love that stuff. And I love that stuff too. Like, trust me, man, I grew up and Nine Inch Nails is my jam. Like I'll be there. I'll go to every con. I'm into it. I love all that stuff. I love horror movies, even though my wife can't watch them. But for me, it's as corny as it sounds. Yes, the most important facet in all of our investigations, that connective tissue, has always been love. Always.
Interesting.
It's always been love. So whether we're in Galena, Illinois, and we're not able to get any feedback when we're trying to initiate a conversation or investigation, the second I bring a guy who's a steamboat captain, who loves steamboats, who wanted ever since he was 9 years old to pilot them, to drive them.
Right.
He comes in, his first ever paranormal investigation, the first time he ever addresses an entity, boom, we get motion detector goes off, pressure changes, we hear noises up above us, and then not even 20 seconds later, Brandon and Brian are like, yo, we're catching something on the FLIR outside. And I was like, it's this guy, because this guy has more love for this stuff than Daryl and I ever could. So love, man, I'm telling you, like, I was like, love, man, like, yeah, love, dude. Man, yeah, dude, like, love, man, that's the stuff that I think most of the time, that's what's gonna really resonate with the entities. So I look for that love with the history, and I try to see, if that really stirs up any activity. And most times, when we do get activity, that's the connective tissue. What's that love?
And I don't know if it was love or not, but I know when you were, I think it was at the Glen Mansion in Cape Girardeau.
Cape Girardeau, yeah.
Yeah, Girardeau.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody was saying I love you, but you got scratched there, right?
Yeah. That's really interesting. I actually talked with Sarah Glenn Marsh, the descendant of the Glens over there. I love the Glen house. I love Cape Girardeau, Missouri, man. I'll say this, man. I'm a Jersey kid, man, and I never thought I'd ever love the Midwest. I'd be like, Midwest. I always had this idea in my head of the most boring armpit place of America.
Flat,
ever.
nothing going on.
Yeah, it's someone from Jersey calling your spot an armpit. So like, but then I go out there and I was like, and Rochelle had pointed it out. I remember we were on the road. She goes, you're only ever happy whenever you're in the Midwest. And I'll be like, Rochelle, that's not. Guys, you're right. Like, oh my God, it's the only place I'm never complaining. So it's like, yeah, we're in Cape Girardeau and we're at the Glen House. And, that to me, they lost their house. My family, we lost our house in New City.
Yeah,
that was a really, really tragic thing. So I don't know. I think it resonated. I got scratched. Maybe it's something that's, maybe it's something that's negative, or I was next to that letter that was speaking very lovingly of the Glen House. Right. So I don't know, man. I don't know. There's some parts of the Glen family history that are very, very beautiful that I love personally. But then, depending on how you're viewing it, there's some people that could say like, there could be some things in there that aren't so, so nice. And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. But I personally, no hard feelings. You come scratch me all you want. I don't care.
So maybe there's a lot of love, feeling a lot of love tonight for the Landoll's Mohican Castle for our remote viewing. What great episode on Ghost Hunters. What were there some things that you didn't find out in your time investigating that you want to learn this evening?
Oh gosh, I would love to look more into. So here's some stuff they didn't put in the show. I mean, we had captured multiple EVPs of a young girl in the cemetery, and then the Macbeth cottage where Daryl was staying in. So that same voice found in the cemetery, in the pool area, and in the I think it's the Macbeth cottage over there.
Exactly.
So
Cottage 13.
Cottage 13. So it's like. I would love to find out more about that little girl. I think that would be incredible if we could get an EVP or something from her there. That'd be nice.
Awesome. All right, Rick, I'll turn it over to you, our master of ceremonies.
Why, thank you so much there.
Yeah,
we got to do some shout outs before we get into the roller coaster ride. But looks like we got Wes. Friends from Jersey say hi. Right? We got Sky and George, the rock star there, basically. He's always the cheerleader up in the chat. John, Rochelle, Catherine, Angela, Vicky, Christopher. Mary says this is our her fave show.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Also Ricky, fave show. Thank you so much. Michelle from Colorado, Melissa and Rob. And,
it's only because Mustafa's here.
Absolutely. Right
I didn't want to say, but
and then Mary just dropped in hi from Ohio. So hey, Mary.
Hey.
So we got some activity in the chat. Folks are waiting for our remote viewing. So Maryam, I'll hand this over to you now.
I'm sorry if this was already asked. Mustafa, why did you pick this location? Why are you so in love with it?
Landoll's Mohican Castle, it's got everything you could ever want. One, it's a storied history. You have a rich backstory with Native American culture that we didn't really get into in the show, but it also tells the tale of a religious sect that was divided, and there was a lot of strife associated with that. And it also, to me, it resonated personally because, again, anything having to do with like immigrants coming from another country, working really, 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 really hard and kind of building themselves from nothing. I mean, that's the history of Landoll. And it's also beautiful, and it's in this amazing, the place is incredible. Never thought a place like that ever existed. It's like, to me, it's like a place like, if I was a kid, you were to ask a kid, like, you ask an adult, like, oh, you're going to open a business. Yeah, I'll run a shoe store. Like, you ask a kid, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's like, I want to have a shoe store, and there's going to be big shoe trampolines. You can jump on them. There's going to be slides, and you're going to go down, and you're going to fall into the shoes. It's like, Landoll's is like, if you ask a kid, oh, you want to build a hotel? like, yes, I'm going to build a hotel in the middle of the woods. It's going to be a wooden castle. Like, I'm like, that is like the best part of like childhood enthusiasm combined with like adult know-how. And I was like, whoever made this never grew up. And I love that. Like, to me, it's like everything life's about. So you can tell there's a lot of passion in it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And your connection to children is pretty strong too. So it'll be interesting to see what that, this little girl that you mentioned immediately chimed in, but I want to make sure that that it's the same little girl, that there is a connection to you. I'm not sure yet. So, let's jump in. And I want to tell, the audience that they can absolutely follow along, close your eyes or watch the images on the screen and join me. I just ask that if you come up against anything and I'm not there yet, or you find something and I haven't come up against it yet, jump behind me. Don't get too far ahead. This is serious work and I don't want any repercussions. And go ahead and leave a comment or say, hey, Maryam, did you see this? Or I saw that, or I felt this. So you can, join me on the ride. And I might ask you for some help. If we got to lift some people up, I may ask you guys to join me. And Mustafa, jump in anytime, please, with questions, join in.
Sure. Okay.
The more the merrier.
Nice.
All right, here we go. Darren, you're off.
Okay, so it's interesting about the land, and Mustafa talked about it. The castle construction started in the late 90s. It opened in 2002, but it's really the land that Jacob, and he can confirm, that Jacob Hyde that built a church there, and there was a small cemetery that might have been the first Lutheran church, I believe, in Ohio. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yep.
German immigrants, but they worked the land, and they lived together. But then they had a falling out about if they were going to speak. I think it was either English or German. English won out, and the German folks got so upset, and they ended up unburying the bodies, if you will, of their people that they had in the cemetery, and took them with them. And then there might have been a fire involving that church after it happened. And some believe, if you will, the land, or it could be cursed, because the owners of the hotel, great family, but they had a fire in the restaurant in 2007. I guess I should have got ahead of myself. When the people from the other church ended up leaving, they built another church, and I think that one burned down too. So there's a lot about fire associated with this land, this property. Mustafa mentioned a spirit of a young girl that many people have seen her, heard her, but it's around the cemetery that her name might be Samantha Carnegie. I know you guys did some research and you found like a headstone that might have had her initials on it, and you did an EVP session, correct?
Yes, we did, and we actually got an EVP.
Okay, let me jump on this young girl since she's the most prevalent right now. Okay, so there's two girls there actually, 10-year-old, 5-year-old. They are saying they're not sisters, but they've been together for so long they connect as if they are. They feel like they are. I don't know, they may have been together in body, but I know that they're together now. I don't know yet. I'm just right now in the cemetery portion. I'm not moving to the building. There's actually a couple areas here. We've got land. I was feeling the Native American. It's not that the land is haunted. It's that there is a lack of appreciation for what was there prior. This has no bearing or on the owners of the property. This is just what I'm being told, that there's just lack of awareness of what lived there prior, what was there prior. There's this lack of honoring, if you will. And so this is where part of the problem started. Meaning this is where some of the hauntings, if you will, are coming from. I say hauntings in quotes just because I want to first see if they're actually haunting or if these are just beings that are just upset, because it feels like right now beings are just upset that this property was built and that there is this lack of acknowledgement. Yet these two girls aren't upset. These two girls are actually really excited to talk to people, really excited to communicate specifically with you. Hold on one sec. No, Darren, go ahead if you want to run some facts. I want to see
Well,
what's
I was
going on
wondering
here.
when you were talking about as far as spirits or energy, would it be of the German folks that had settled that area, or is this somebody completely different?
Could be, it feels like these girls have been there a long time.
Do they talk about anything about disease? There was yellow fever back in those days, and this young girl might have died, the 5-year-old, or 10. I don't know.
What's
Actually,
interesting is both these girls are actually really happy. They're not there wasn't any tragedy to their death, which is why they're still there, because they actually really loved being there. Samantha is one of their names.
Do you see what they're wearing? Out of curiosity, when you look, do you see a dress? Whatever? No. Okay.
It's really I don't yet. I don't see that.
Gotcha.
But one of them is saying their name is Samantha. I feel
Okay.
like it's the older one. And she's actually has, I can feel the amount of information and history she carries and has, getting that out of her, maybe a challenge, because she's protective over this younger sibling, if you will, that's there. And she's just kind of cautious as to why I'm here and what I'm doing. So I'm just going to explain to her right now that we're just here to look around. Others have been here before. They feel like you've spoken through their mechanisms. We want to know if it was you. Is there anything we can do to help? Why are you still here? She's explaining to me that, yeah. Go ahead.
I was wondering why they haven't crossed over. I mean, if there's some reason why.
She's saying that she's choosing to stay there, and she's watching over this youngster, and they're choosing to stay together. They're not wanting to cross over. She's saying she's waiting for her mom. Why are you waiting for your mom? That's interesting.
Mustafa, you probably know a little bit about that, don't you? Wasn't mom was nearby where you guys were out there, right?
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you had mentioned that, Maryam, because I do believe that the young girl had passed away shortly before her mother did. I think they both died of tuberculosis, if I'm not mistaken. I know they both died of yeah.
So so your mom isn't here, and your mom isn't going to be. Your mom's already passed over. Hold on, let me see if I can connect with her. If I bring mom down, would you be willing to move over to the other side? And she's saying the young girl she's with isn't her sister, though. Can she come with me? Yes, of course she can go with you. I feel like mom might be coming in, but I'm not feeling a real strong connection yet. So I'm not going to push too hard on that just yet. She says she has been the one speaking through the equipment. She's looking for her mom. Okay. And she's wondering if people can help her find her mom. That's why. She's saying, I know she says, I'm very aware of my guides. I'm very aware of my ability to pass over. I wanted to make sure that I can bring my sister, she's referring to her, with me. But I want my mom. Well, that's going to make me cry. Okay. So I'm going to ask if everyone for a moment can just focus on these two girls And just ask for her mom to come down. Let's just all ask and see if mom can come closer in, because this woman that I'm feeling is keeping her distance for some reason. She's nervous. But if she can feel that all of us want her in and want her here, maybe she'll bring in. Okay. Okay, she's coming in closer. She wasn't trusting what we were doing. It's okay. She made an interesting comment to me. Okay. No, I'm light. You can come in. Oh, okay. So they've seen each other. She's asking what happened, why they got disconnected. Mom said she doesn't know why. She didn't mean for it to happen. But that's okay. You're together now, right? So you can go. You can go. She feels she says she's scared to go. Even though she has this connection and warmth to the land that she's been at. This has been like a home for her. But you understand that's been that way because your guides have been with you. You've been nurtured, you've been protected. You've had people coming that have been good to you, and so these people that you've spoken with through their equipment have been good to you. But it's time to leave. It's time. This is what you've been waiting for. So I'm gonna ask everyone to even if you can't see it yourself, just visualize, imagine these two young girls and mom coming in, and just she's put her arms around them and they're leaving, and her guides have actually moved in. It's a whole thing. The guides have moved in. Mom has moved in. Everyone's being lifted. Everyone's being lifted. Just help them continue on. There you go. Well, I hate to take it away, but no one's going to have the opportunity to communicate with the girls now if they ever go out there. That's done. Thank you for everyone that helped.
So was this? I don't want to interrupt, but was this happening all outside of the house? I mean, this little girl she wasn't spending much time inside the castle that they built then.
No, we've got something else going on over there, which I'll get to in a second. Those guys were just, oh, that was hard. She's gone. Okay, so moving on.
There's a couple of locations. There's the cottage that's outside of the I guess the main complex, if you will, that's supposedly haunted by, it could be various people, could be the person that built it, the owner, but then also inside the house. I know on the episode of Ghost Hunters they try to connect with a spirit of a woman that several of the people that worked there had encountered this older lady. They had done some drawings, used some of their equipment to reach out to this individual. I don't know if you want to, which area you want to tackle first, if you want to try the Macbeth cottage or try to maybe connect with this older lady that's, made herself known to people that work there and kind of scared them a little bit.
Yeah, she's pretty dark. Let's go see what she's doing. I'd recommend, if anyone's feeling her, to get behind me. I don't want her attaching to you. She has that tendency. She's looking to harass. She's looking to attach. She waits for people to come through. We see this a lot with entities that really know their role. They know how to haunt. It's like their job. It's not their job. They choose to do it. They enjoy doing it. So that's their thing. And this is one of those in particular. Do you have a name for her?
I don't believe so. Mustafa, you guys never figured out who this individual was, right?
No, there was some thought that it might have been the wife of Hyde, the
Jacob
patriarch. Hyde? Yeah, it might have been his wife. Her name's escaping me right now. I could actually find it probably, but I don't know if that's her. But that's what the thought was, is that it was her.
The drawings were pretty creepy. I know that you guys brought in a sketch artist, Daryl did, and they sat down and did the pictures. She's dark. Maybe she's an angry old German lady. I don't really, I don't know anything. I'm just curious because they've had this issue with fire in that area, and they had this fire in the restaurant, 13 years ago. If this individual had anything to do with that.
Okay, so yeah, let me deal with her. I'm hearing like a
Mary
Linda or
Elizabeth
something.
Merklin. Okay, Mary Elizabeth Merklin was his wife's name, but not saying Linda. You said I'll search. I have a research document of everything, so I'll be looking at that while you're doing your thing.
Okay,
Thank God we have a
so
historian here tonight.
yeah, I mean, I'm not great with names, so don't hold me to it, but she's saying something. It sounds like a Linda she's saying. But anyway, if anyone's, don't go up against her. Don't go up against her. Let me deal with her. Okay, so she's in the kitchen, so I'm being brought into the home, into the building. She's in the kitchen specifically. Okay, she's asking me why I'm here. This is their usual question. Why am I here? They don't like me moving in on their territory. We're here to look around. We're here to find out who's here, why you're here, and honestly, if I need to remove you from here. She's saying people want me here. Okay, I mean that may be true. But your energy is you're just running a really dark household here. Like you're you know, it's one thing for people to come in and experience voices and that type of thing, but you're actually, you know, she's saying she actually brings in, there's other beings, and she like attaches them to people, so people do often leave with attachments. So I know that we all have free will, but I might be asking you to leave here. I don't think that this is the work you should be doing. Okay, so so she spits fire apparently. So I'm going to back up a little bit. Um,
Was she a cook or something? What's the deal with with the
no,
fetish with the kitchen?
no. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at I not I'm not I'm laughing just because it's I mean, it's silly. She literally spits fire at me. Like that's what she's doing. I I think it's funny. Um, she's this is very serious. I know. It's just I don't understand. I don't know why she's there. She's why I don't think I don't know why she's there. I don't think she knows why she's there. She doesn't have any attachment to the property,
Interesting.
or I should say the building. She may have attachment to the property. So how did you end up here? And hang on, I feel like one of our viewers just stepped in front of me. I would get behind me if I were you. She's pretty heavy and she will attach, so be careful. Just make sure you guys stay behind me. That's all, for your own sake, because then you'll be on our show next week and I'll have to remove her. Okay, so talk to me. Okay, I want to have a conversation with you. She doesn't want me. I know she doesn't want me coming near her. Talk to me about why you're here. Where are you here? She goes, I died nearby, and this at the time this property was vacant, and I decided to use this as my home. She says, I'm not leaving. No matter what you do, I'm not leaving. You got to back up too, because she's like pissed. Okay,
So
we don't have.
she wasn't like one of the German immigrants then that was in the area for the church.
No,
No, okay.
she was on. She was on the other side. She wasn't German. She was. What do you mean you were on the other side?
She's not Native American. I mean, she can't make herself
No,
look. She can't make herself look
she's
white.
not Native American.
Okay.
She's saying, oh, well, maybe she was then. She's referring to herself as a Nazi. So maybe well, she's actually saying that very proudly. I don't think that should be something you're proud of, but she's speaking very proudly of that. That's she died nearby. She wanted to occupy this land. That was what her life was about, where she was overtaking people, places, things. That's what she did. That's what her family did. That's what she enjoys doing. That's what is her that's what she does. That's who she is. She takes over others, people, places, things. Okay. So here we are. So you have chosen why the kitchen? Is there a significance to the kitchen inside this home? She says people love that I'm here. People love they like it. They like to hear me, see me. They like me to scare them. They like it. And she's right. I mean, people like to watch this stuff, right? People go there to see it. She's right. She has a point. I can't argue that. Okay. This is why a lot of dark energies stay places, because people want them there. People want to experience it. They want to be scared, not realizing that this energy carries a lot of crap that that really doesn't belong there. We need to let this go. We need to let that part of our existence go. And it's like she's holding on to it and keeping it alive. And I really don't think she should stay there. I'm going to, I think we're going to remove you from there. And you've done enough damage. She's taking full responsibility for all the fires that were there. And to be honest, I think that she is responsible for them, considering she spits fire. She seems like that's her thing. I think that we need to remove you. All right, stay behind. Felt someone jump up again. Okay, so if we're going to remove her, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to call in my guys. How do you guys want to do this? How do we lift her? Ooh, she's not going easily. Okay. I'm going to call in some help if I need it. Okay. We're just going to lift her up from underneath, and we're going to push her kind of like at an angle as you lift her up and out, if that makes sense. That's what I'm being told. Everyone is going to lift her and push her. I laugh because because if I don't laugh, then I get angry or scared, and then I cannot manage her, is what I'm saying. I laugh because the behavior is kind of, it's silly. It's something like you would see in a silly ghost movie, and it's actually very real. Okay, so back to where we are. Here we go. We're all going to lift her and push her at an angle up and out. And I want you, as you lift her, and we're doing it gently and we're doing it compassionately, and we're going to lift her towards light. And I want you, as she's already got, her angels are grabbing on. All beings have guides and angels. We're lifting her up and out. Ooh, she does not like this. She does not like this. It's time for you to go. I'm not going to argue with you. She wants to, we're not arguing. Okay, so lift her up and out, get her out, because she's fighting. She's fighting that. They got her. So they got her up there. They got her. She's not gone yet, though. Hold on. Keep going. She's not gone. All right. Yeah, there's a void that's going to be left in this space. Someone's going to have to fill this void. That's how things work. So someone will probably be filling this void. But for now, this one is gone. Whew, she's leaving some residual. She's still trying to spit fire at me. That's why I'm telling people, you got to get behind me. She's not messing around. Okay.
She's out.
I'm calling
later. See ya.
It's taken a while. I'm just calling in my guides to just throw up a little shield there so I don't have to deal with her, and we can move on. Oh, she says she's going to come find me. I shouldn't have said that. My mom watches. She'll be calling me tonight. I'll be fine. Don't worry.
Tell her to keep that spitting fire inside her mouth. Play nice.
Okay. Sorry. I don't want to keep feeding into this, or she won't leave. Okay, what's next?
Well, there's an incident, maybe Mustafa wants to talk about it, that I was curious, that the Landoll suite, they had an incident that happened to where, Mustafa, was the fireplace on or something? The heat was on in there? It was something crazy happened, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple of there's two places. There's a room that I stayed in, which people said they saw a soldier there. So if we wanted to transition from the fire, we could talk more about that. But the Landoll suite, apparently the furnace was on. We were in there when we went in, and they get kind of turned on by themselves, and nobody knows why. We don't know if that has anything to do with it sounds like, with this woman, that's the root of that. So I don't know if it has to do with that, or it has to do with the history of the church being burned. But then there's also that room that I stayed in where people said that they saw a soldier who was kind of dressed from the French Indian War at the time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, very specific
cool
uniform. So that's super, super interesting.
So there's like pockets throughout this property that has all kinds of different energies and people. This is starting to be kind of a theme with these larger properties, where spirits will come and kind of hang, um, especially if they know that they're being heard, that there's movement, that there's people. They'll come to these locations rather than stay wherever they're at, which may not have any movement or people or anything like that. So let me see. The fire, yeah, that woman was all over that house. She was just having a blast, man. She was going through every room and just scaring the crap out of people. Like she's pretty gross. Okay. This soldier, I don't know that I'm really his energy is super light right now.
Yeah, we didn't really get many claims or anything with him, but that's just what we heard from some of the people that were there.
He's just super. This energy is just really sad and just really quiet. The one that I'm looking at right now, she's just really sad, really quiet. He kind of needs a friend, needs some support. He doesn't have the energy to scare, or he might have spoken with someone because he's really lonely. Any of you guys watching, I think you should, if you can connect with him, let's just ask him why. It's funny, when the more depressed these spirits get, the more they'll kind of do this rounding over, and they don't realize that if they look up, they can pass on. And I want him to look up so he can get out. What's going on? He's sad, man. This is a heavy one. It's going to take some time to kind of talk, find out why you're here, what do you want. Like, I don't know if you guys want to do all of that now.
He's just kind of lost. I mean, he's just sadly kind of out there by himself.
He is.
I want to point out, I'm reading the comments right now, and Jay Kim's comment, there's like 2 other people who stayed in that suite who had those same exact claims.
Okay.
That they saw him or talked to him, or both?
No, that someone had touched them, and if it's the same when someone's tugging at my toes and rubbing their hand down my back, yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay, that's someone else. That's not the soldier guy. There's 2 people. The soldier guy's way too sad to be to be dealing with others, but it's not that. But it doesn't. His energy. Okay, so here's what's happened. The soldier's energy is so heavy and so sad that very much that's why you can see him. That's why people have seen him. That's why he's there, but he's not the one touching and bothering others. That's not him. There's two people in there doing that. This other guy, what does he want? This is a guy that's harassing others.
I know Cindy Parrott asking you help him over, but it sounds like he doesn't want to leave right now. The gentleman, the soldier.
We can absolutely help him over. It just might take some time. I mean, if
Gotcha.
Everyone wants to do that, but also you said Cindy asked that. Cindy, she can absolutely.
Cindy Parr, I guess. I said, can you help him over?
Cindy, you can do that also. Let's all go together really quick. Let's go, and I'll deal with this touchy-feely perv dude. Let's go over here. I get these names, and I don't necessarily know that the names are correct, but it's just a way for us to connect with them. So I'm hearing David. So look up. If you want to share your story, you can, but I'm kind of wanting to just say, hey, there's something better for you.
So David's the soldier, not the creep.
Right, not the perv. Okay. Yeah. David, there's a whole bunch of us here, and everyone's here. I can feel everyone behind me. We're all here, and we all just saying, hey, if you look up, you've got a ton of angelic love, and we will take you there. If you want to go, let's go. He says, I can't do it by myself. So we're going to bring him. Okay. So he can't do it. He's so sad. He can't do it. So we're just going to lift, just like we did with the lady who spits fire. We're just going to lift underneath him. Think of him like, he looks kind of like what's that statue of the thinking guy? Like he's kind of in that form where he's sitting and his head's down.
Thinker.
Well, that would make sense, right? So go underneath him. And some of you may want to pull his shoulders back a little and let him look up. And let's lift him up and out. Everyone, he needs a lot of help just because he's got a lot of sadness. But he'll respond. He just needs a lot of help. If we can get him to look up. He's going. He's going. It's not, his sadness is going with him, though. He's going to have to work on that. He's going. He's gone. Nice job, everybody. It's a lot easier when I got the help back there. Okay, so where's this perv here? This is the guy touching. Yeah, he's very recently, just recently passed. I say recently meaning, in the last 100 years or even less than that. He's fairly new. Listen, he's out there. People got to set their own boundaries with this dude. Like, you got to set your boundaries. If you don't want someone to touch you, you got to acknowledge that and say, knock it off, just like you would in body, just like you wouldn't let someone just walk up and touch you. Like, the same thing applies. But there's people that are okay. They like the experience of a being coming in and groping them. And if that's what you want, that's fine. This guy, I don't have the jurisdiction to remove him. I don't know why. I just sometimes don't. He's allowed to stay in that space. I do know why. They're telling me because the balance of good and bad is there for a reason, okay? And when you have beings like this perv, he is there to teach. He doesn't know he is. He doesn't think he is. He's just doing the dark stuff that he does. But see, when people go in and have these life experiences, they learn from it. That's the hope. If you don't learn from it, I can't help you. But if you have this experience and you learn, and so they're saying that they want him to stay there because he's actually going to introduce paranormal. He's going to introduce the other side to a lot of people who weren't believers. And a lot of people have to have these kind of awkward, weird experiences to believe. And the belief is needed because not just so they can go, oh, I believe in ghosts, so that they understand that they're spirit first, that we're all spirit first, that this spirit is inside a human body and we lose the body and we go back to our consciousness. And that's what these energies are. They're consciousness in spirit. We are consciousness in spirit in body. And so we have to understand that we are no different than any of these energies out there. And this is one way that people learn. So spirit is saying, leave this being there, let him teach. So we will. So all of you out there know that if you ever go to this hotel, you have the power to tell him, do not touch me. That is not okay. That is not how this is going to work. You have that right. And he must honor it and he must listen.
Any idea how many spirits could be in that house? I mean, excuse me, in that hotel. They've had other things with
there's a
fire
lot.
Alarms going on. I mean, there's a lot of, and these could be people that were there back in the 1800s or people passing through.
It's like we've got rooms. We've got Native American over here. We've got, army types over here. We've got these random dudes like this guy over here. It's just, it's another one of those properties that we could be there for hours and just go from room to room to room and go, who's in here? What are you doing? There's so much happening there.
Hey, Jay wanted to know, was this gentleman just letting me know that he's there? I'm not sure if he's talking about the soldier or the perv dude, but when Jay was there, somebody was just kind of one of the, like you're talking about, hey, there's an afterlife. I'm just here to kind of let you know that, give you a little poke.
Here's the thing. The pervy dude that I'm talking to, he doesn't see himself as a teacher. Okay. He's acting like a child. Okay. What spirit, the universe, my guides, what they're saying to me is, that's why we want this being to remain there. He doesn't know that he is there to teach. He doesn't know. He's just kind of being a jerk. but it's teaching others. And so keep in mind, for anyone who has paranormal experiences or experiences like this, or like with this guy, even if it feels uncomfortable and scary, find your center, ask that that's not to happen again. They cannot touch you without your permission. They are allowed to communicate as long as you approve of it. But it's happening so that all of us in body realize that this body is not, it's just one piece to this grand puzzle. And the human body is actually just the most simple aspect of who we are, the most basic.
Hey, Maryam, we're up against the clock here, but real quick, Mary. Okay.
They're driven there for sure.
Okay. And now actually we need to go ahead and start disconnecting. But of course, first question I always have to ask at this time would be, Mr. Mustafa, how was tonight? How was the roller coaster for you?
It was pretty awesome. It was really cool. I find it interesting that the first reaction I had when I was just looking at the history of this was very similar to Maryam's experience, but that there's just so much going on there. I mean, I think every single member of the team, when we were looking at the research document, it's like, we have no idea who could be here. We have no idea whatsoever. And it's very tantalizing to kind of attach yourself to one narrative because it speaks to you in a certain way. But I have to applaud Maryam for keeping yourself open to whatever's there and having such a really cool and surprising results. It was really interesting to see the work that you were doing, Maryam. So I find it really cool that's like literally the first thought that I had when I was looking at the document, and like that's what she was experiencing. So I find that super cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, my goodness, appreciate you joining us tonight. And just in like the next couple of minutes that we have left, anything that the viewers need to know about? Anything coming up with you? Any events, projects?
Gosh, in terms of events, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm Gatollari. I'm doing a bunch of events with Daryl Marston, and then I have a couple with Brian Murray, Mr. Murray, and Rochelle Stratton from the show. So we're going to be doing some events, usually on the weekends. I think our next one coming up is Daryl and I are going to be at Selma Mansion. So you can check that all out. I have it all on my Instagram and stuff, and we'll be putting on the social. In terms of when we're getting back on air and stuff like that, I can't say anything at all, unfortunately, especially when it comes to, network and Pilgrim and all that. I am beholden by contracts. However, I can say that Brandon and I, we have some stuff that we're working on that we'll be able to announce very, very soon. Hopefully, we're just getting the green light to announce it. All I can say is stay tuned. It's really annoying and frustrating for our fans, but I'm pretty sure they put a chip in me that'll explode if I say anything like the Running Man. So I can't really talk about it. I'm kidding.
Of course. Well, Matt, appreciate you so much for joining us, and everybody, thanks
you
so much for being a part of tonight.
Thank you.